Hi, my name is Hal Sharp, and I welcome you to this Bushido series. Most of this footage I shot in the early 50s while living in Japan, where I developed a passion for Japanese culture, especially the martial arts. I hope you'll enjoy these productions as much as I enjoy sharing my past with you. Now, step on the mat and meet my senseis. Japan was devastated by World War II. Martial arts were forbidden by the Allies until 1947. Japan hoped to build a bridge of friendship by sharing its culture with the rest of the world. These films were made in 1951 through 1956 during the period of Japan's recovery. This film hopes to keep the bridge of friendship alive. Judo in the 1950s. Imagine a world without television or computers and no International Judo Federation rules. Most judo competitions were based on ippon scoring only. The senseis you'll see in this film practice daily. When they threw you, the first sensation was going through the air. On the mat, they played with you like a parent with a child. Sometimes all you can move was your eyeballs. How could you not help but respect and love these senseis? Hi, I'm Hal Sharp. Over 50 years ago, I was a young judo student in Japan. My senseis were like my parents, and I became a part of their family and dojo. At that time, I never thought about getting old and could not imagine my senseis never being on the mat with me again. Now I am almost 80 years old, and my senseis are no longer with me. In order to keep their teachings and friendship alive, I will now try to show and tell you about them and how I benefited from knowing them. This film is dedicated to Jigoro Kano. He founded judo over 120 years ago. He was the sensei of my senseis, and they told me what a wonderful guy he was. Here he is sitting with his wife and family. And now we go to Berlin, the 1936 Olympics, with the sensei standing next to Jesse Owens, the American legend. This is a statue of Sensei Kano at the new Kodokan today. Suidobashi was the train station closest to the Kodokan. The Kodokan was in the Bunkyoku area. This is a picture of the Kodokan building. The main hall was quite large, suspended on coil springs. Players came from around the world and all over Japan. The president, Risei Kano, was the son of Jigoro Kano. Secretary was Tashiro, and his advisors were Matsumoto and Daigo. That's Matsumoto on the left, Tashiro, Mr. Kano, and then Mr. Daigo, who was two-time All-Japan champion. Kagami Biraki, the New Year's festival, was really a fun time. There were awards presentations, black belt promotions, demonstrations of kata, randori, and the feast of mochi and oshiriko. Here in the Kodokan main hall, there's the opening ceremony with the group bowing to President Risei Kano. Mifune Sensei, 10th Dan, is making a presentation to President Kano on behalf of the high Dan holders. Kata demonstrations included Katami no Kata, Nagi no Kata, Itsutsu no Kata, Koshiki no Kata, and Goshin Jitsu. And here is Daigo doing a demonstration of Katami no Kata, the forms of holding. Another instructor is demonstrating Nagi no Kata, the forms of throwing. Here Mifune Sensei is doing his famous rendition of Itsutsu no Kata, the forms of five. This is the part of Itsutsu no Kata that emphasizes centrifugal force. The two parties move around, and then they get closer and closer and closer. Their arms interlock, turn around, then the tori drops and throws the opponent. This is Yamaguchi Sensei and Koyasu Sensei doing Koshiki no Kata, the ancient forms. This was the kata that was like fighting in armor. This is the first time Goshin Jitsu, or the Kodokan modern self-defense, was ever shown in public. This was the 1956 Kagami Baraki demonstration. The tori is Tomiki and the uke is Otaki. Here are the young boys lined up, going into the bowing ceremony first, as they prepare to do their randori. That's they. They stand up. Teacher says Hajime, and they begin. This is a cooperative effort. Here's a couple of the old-timers. They're really having a good time there. Two white belts over on the right. And these are women doing randori. You notice they have their trousers are bloused at the bottom. That was the old-fashioned way. The women didn't compete in those days. Just did a lot of randori and katas. Here's a couple of tough competitors. These are about 3rd degree or 4th degree black belts. And they're really trying hard. Watch this here. He tries kouchi, goes in again, and then ippon seoinage. Beautiful throw. There's another foot sweep. Beautiful. Now these are the foreigners. Grauber on the left and Gurel was on the right. This is Gurel from France working with his opponent. Now they're sort of trying hard, but you know, this is a demonstration, so there is some cooperation. Now this one is not a demonstration. This is a slaughter line. They really fight hard. That's Matsushita on the right, former Tokyo and University champion. Watch him do his favorite throw here in a second. There he is, Harai Goshi. Now the black belt presentations are given by President Rise Kano. He does it by groups, by the grade, like Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, and so forth. And now it's time to eat mochi and oshiriko. Mochi is a soft rice cake soaked in a sweet bean sauce called oshiriko. It's really quite tasty. It's a lot of fun to eat, but only once a year. That's the head table with Mifune, Kano, and many high-ranking senseis. 10th dans, 9th dans, 8th dans. This is some of the staff, family members, students, and teachers. There's quite a few foreigners, Americans, French, English. The lower right is Kyoshi Kobayashi, with whom I co-authored the book, The Sport of Judo. He went on to become a 9th dan, and he's the head of the Portuguese Judo Federation. Next to him is Charles Palmer, who went on to become the head of the International Judo Federation and a 10th dan. Unfortunately, Charles just passed away. And next to him is Maurice Gurel, who went back home to France to become the national coach. And there's Colette, our little sister. And now let's look at the judo practice for children, men's novices, and women. This is Tashima Sensei, the children's teacher at the Kodokan. It's a rare film of him out of judo-gi. He's supervising the children's practice. Here's the kids on the mat. You notice they attack very hard. This is a 1951 footage of Tashima Sensei working with some children. Watch how soft he moves around. Lets the kid take a chance. Just works softly. Throws him gently. Lets the kid get a try. Kid keeps attacking, attacking, attacking. Sensei just floats around. No power. He's having a good time. All of a sudden, the kid will come in and he'll take one. There we go. This is Harai Sensei, another children's teacher at the Kodokan. This film is from 1951. Looks at the group, picks out a student. Come on, get on a mat. Let's go. He's got a little guy here. They move around softly, gently, gives the kid a chance. Tomoe nage, beautiful throw. Sensei takes the fall nice. They move around. He helps the kid, moving around in circles. Kid's moving, moving, moving. Boom, shoulder throw. That was nice. Tries again. Keeps moving around in circles, teaching the kid how to move. Kid does a foot sweep. Now the sensei says, no more, good guy. You've had it, fellow. Knee wheel. Foot sweep. This is Asumi Sensei, another children's teacher at the Kodokan. There he bows to a kid. They move around easy. Throws the kid gently. They keep moving around in a circle. Lets the kid throw him. Gets back up. They keep moving around, round. Sasaitsu de Komiyashi trips the kid there. Still moving. Hanigoshi throws the kid gently. Now he's going to let the kid give a go at it. There we go. A hand throw. Sensei really took a fall then. Now we're going to visit some of the teachers that specialize in teaching foreigners. Here's Tanaka Sensei. He was quite a guy. Very sturdy. He could handle the big foreigners. I remember a trick of all the things that he showed me was how to prevent being choked. He would say, lift your shoulders high and let your neck sink into the hole. And by George, it really worked. Here he is just posing for me with another American. And here he is actually on the mat. Notice how he just floats, takes it easy. The student tries and tries. Then he just goes down on the ground, relaxed, controls the student, lets the student try to get away, just keeps him pinned there. All the student can do now is move his eyeballs. Here they're moving around some more. Student's about a 6-footer there. Tries a hanigoshi. He just rides on him. No problem. I remember the day I threw him. I was so happy. This guy was really hard to throw. This is Chugo Sato. He was a great technician. The Air Force included him in a special group that came to the United States in 1953 to tour the bases. Sato Sensei was truly the ultimate judoka. I once asked why he seemed a little strange. I was told he had been a manservant of Jigoro Kano, and after the sensei had died in 1938, his mind sort of went. His life became judo. He practiced every day. His gi was always very sweaty, so we affectionately nicknamed him Stinky Sato. He was barely 5 foot tall and had a stocky build. Practicing with him was the ultimate judo experience. He would grab you and move you around in circular actions, and he would call out the names of throws over and over and have you throw him over and over until you were exhausted. Then he would get tough and motion for you to fight. He would move around, avoiding your throws. Then you would get angry and snap him off his feet. He would fly up and cling on your back and look over your shoulder and laugh at you. Then he would take you down to the mat. Every time you tried to hold him, he would disappear and he would be on top of you. A friend of mine said it was like doing judo with a chimpanzee. I really loved that little guy. Takagi Sensei is now beating the drum to close the practice at the Kodokan. 36 years later, I returned to the Kodokan, and Daigo Sensei gave me the honor to beat the drum. That was really a blast. Ichijima's dojo was referred to as a machi dojo, which means a village dojo. He was on the outskirts of Tokyo. This was one of the few dojos I've ever visited where there was an organized drill. Here the kids are learning to do back falling, first from a sitting position, then sideways from a sitting position. One side, the other, flipping from one side to the other. Then they do it from a squatting position. First falling backwards. And you see this little American boy over on the right there. He's kind of klutzy. He's just learning. Then sideways from a squatting position. Then they do it from a standing position. Falling backwards. Then falling sideways. Start standing, sweep your leg out, slap the mat. Then forward falling. They have to do both sides. Here, the kid did it left side and he'll do it right. This kid's right and now left. And so they all take turns diving across the floor. These dojos are pretty small. Now this is free practice with the teachers. And the teacher tries to operate at the same level as the kid. Lets the kid throw them, and they throw the kids clean. Just moving around, moving around. Judo in most dojos is just free practice. You don't see too much of organized training. And Ichijima was really very good at this. And frankly, if I hadn't been at his dojo, I don't know if I would have been a good teacher when I came back to the States. They're really having fun. Now the kids are going to practice with each other. They bow, and they start in. This is soft randori, soft free practice. You notice they're not really fighting each other. They're practicing letting each other go in and out. This is really good training. If you start fighting all the time, you become stiff. Your technique really suffers. Ichijima was just an outstanding teacher. And they finished practicing. Now all the kids line up to get their picture taken. And here we have Ichijima Sensei, who was 7th degree. Women's judo in the 1950s was limited to doing randori and kata. At the Kodokan, they trained in a smaller facility. And that's because the main floor was generally packed with boys and men doing competition-type judo. Sakamoto Sensei was the principal instructor for the women's judo. Of course, there were several women that were 5th dans, and you'll see them soon. Here they're doing randori. You notice how he holds the top of their arms so he can feel their bodies. Most of the women were smaller than him. They train using feel. Here he goes into a stemi waza. Beautiful throw. And he lets the women try to get in there, but their form has to be good for them to throw them. That wasn't too bad. You notice the women's trousers are bloused at the bottom, but their form is very good. Even though they do a lot of kata, which gives them good form, and a lot of randori, which gives them a very good feel for the opponent. Generally, they work with softer randori. That way, you're not stiff, and you build up good conditioned reflexes. That was a knee wheel the sensei just did. Now he's with a taller girl. They're moving around. Again, here he's holding the one arm on the top, one at the bottom, but he just leans on her so he can feel her body. That was an ashiguruma throw. They move around. Oh, she didn't do too good, so he didn't take that fall. Noritomo Sensei was one of the highest ranking women in Japan. Both her and Fukuda Sensei, who you will see shortly, were asked by Jigoro Kano to start the women's section at the Kodokan. And just like Sakamoto Sensei previously, you notice how she just sort of floats with the students. They learn to do the judo based on the feel of the opponent. Women do not use power and strength like men do, and they're much more efficient. They do the throws on the move. That way you take advantage of the stepping and shifting of weight of the opponent. That was a beautiful stemi waza. Girl tries to throw and she counter throws her. Move around. The girl tried the knee wheel, not too good. Miss Fukuda is one of the most remarkable judo people in the world today. She's now 92 years old, 9th dan, still practices and teaches judo. Her great-grandfather Hachinosuke Fukuda was one of the 3 influential masters of Jiu-Jitsu who taught the founder of Judo, Jigoro Kano Shihan, in his formative years. Here in 1951, she's a 5th-degree black belt and practicing randori with her students. Juno Kata, the forms of gentleness, demonstrated by Miss Noritomi and Miss Fukuda in 1951 at the Kodokan. This is really a beautiful kata. What's interesting about this is that in no event is any partner thrown. It's based on offense and defense. For example, in the first section, there's a hand thrust, a shoulder push, seizure of both hands, a shoulder turn, and jaw thrusting. Then we go on to the second section that has a direct head cut with a hand sword, downward pressure on both shoulders, strike between the eyes, single hand seizure, single hand raising where someone is going to strike you. And the third section includes belt seizure, a chest push, an uppercut, a direct head strike, and poking of both eyes. In each case, the attack is deflected, and then there are the movements of forces where your force as you block is countered, and then you in turn counter the attacker, and so forth. In this kata, there are some moves similar to what we see in judo today, such as ogoshi, the major hip throw, ippunsyoi nage, the one-arm shoulder throw. Here's a direct head strike. They come at each other. It's deflected one way, the other way, pulling the opponent back. Then the opponent taps. This is a judo demonstration at the first World Judo Championship in 1956. The women are going to demonstrate randori. There are both Japanese players and foreign players. They come up on the raised platform used for the competition. They bow and then demonstrate cooperative randori against an awesome audience. There must be about 10,000 people there. This is the women's judo dance. Since I did not have sound on the camera, I've improvised a bit for this film. This part covers the high-ranking 10th dans that were alive between the period of 51 through 56. Samura, Mifune, Izuka, Nagaoka, who died in 52, have included Kotani Sensei. He wasn't promoted till 84, but he's the last of the living 10th dans in Japan. And now we cover Samura Sensei. Here's Samura Sensei sitting at the head table at a tournament. To his right is Mifune Sensei. Samura Sensei here is doing a Koshiki no Kata with Koyasu. And here's a series of photos out of a 100-year-old judo book. This is when Samura was a young man. Book was published in 1915. This is Samura with Shibayama Sensei, who you'll see later, his son, and me in the background. Samura doing Ogoshi, Yokostemi, and Ippon Seoi Nage, high on the shoulder the old-fashioned way. Now Samura is going to perform the Koshiki no Kata, the forms antique, at the All Japan Championship with Yamaguchi Sensei. This kata is an old form of self-defense simulating men in armor. Kata is sort of a pantomime of techniques. That's why it appears so stilted. The movements are supposed to show how they move and throw. Not bad for an old man. He pulls Yamaguchi down, and Yamaguchi gets up and goes in for an attack. Samura throws him again. Yamaguchi grabs him from behind. Samura does a drop knee Seoi Nage, grabs his collar, does a Stemi Waza. And they finish. Mifune Sensei was considered a living legend. He's probably the best known judoka the world has ever known. Here he is with a group of other high-ranking senseis. Mifune is now doing Itsutsu no Kata, the forms of 5 at the All Japan Championship. Here he is working out with Maurice Gruel, who was over 200 pounds at the Kodokan. Maurice tries to throw him. Mifune just smiles and swings up on his back. Now this is at a Numazu at a new dojo. He's explaining Itsutsu no Kata, the forms of 5 and other katas. He's with Kyoshi Kobayashi. This is the form that looks like an airplane where they turn around with their arms spread apart. He says if you don't continue, it dies. So you keep going, drop down. There's the one like the wave across his chest. Now this one is where 2 opponents come at each other. He says if you don't get out of the way, you're in trouble. So here's what he does. Drops down, the opponent goes over him. Now he's going to explain how to move with an opponent, counter throws, picking up someone's weakness. This is where Kobayashi has more or less attempted to do a uki-otoshi, a hand technique. So Mifune Sensei is explaining his weak points. He can kick his leg out, Osoto, from the back like he just did, or he can step forward and throw him over his back leg. There he goes. He shows the action. Now Kobayashi's trying a one-arm shoulder throw. So Mifune explains, since his force is forward, you can swing around the front and throw him with a Stemi Waza. Now here, if Kobayashi tries an obi-otoshi, picking him up, as he grabs the belt, grab him and do a leg sweep. That's an oguruma. Now they're moving around. As the opponent stops, he does Tomoe Nage. Moving around some more. Kobayashi tries to throw. He swings around the back. Tries again. That was a great oguruma there. Kobayashi tries a kouchi, tries another throw. Mifune just bounces off of him. They move around some more. Mifune bounces off of him. Mifune drops under him quickly for a kataguruma. This is Mifune at the World's Judo Championship doing Itsutsu no Kata. That was the wave form. Now the 2 opponents rise. They spread their arms. and they come at each other. Mifune drops down. Iizuka Sensei was not too active on the mat then. He actually passed away 2 years after this shot. Here he is at the 1956 All Japan Championship. He's sitting and watching the tournament. We'll have a glimpse now of one of the matches that he was watching then. This is Matsumoto on the left, 1948 All Japan champion. Matsushita on the right. You notice they're holding with pocket grips. Matsushita has a great Harai Goshi, but Matsumoto has this Osotogari hooking over the neck. Here they're working on raised platforms, so they continuously fall out. And there's Iizuka Sensei with Mifune Sensei behind him. This is Nagaoka Sensei. He was one of Kano Sensei's disciples. He was quite a strong man in his time, was famous for his stemi wazas. I didn't know him very well, but I wanted to share these old photos with you. Here he is in 1951 sitting with Kano Sensei. This is Kano, the president of Kodokan. And here he is demonstrating his stemi wazas. Moving around, dropping down, showing different timing. Now he does it, blocking the ankle, and drops. That was pretty neat. He passed away 1 year after this film was taken. He died in 1952. Stepping back, around, sliding out, and kicking the leg out. Now he moves around. The opponent steps, and he does an air drop. That was great. Now he moves around, does another stemiwaza. Here he is at the 1951 All Japan Championship doing Koshiki no Kata, the ancient forms. Look how smooth he moves. And again, he passed away 1 year after this. This was the kata that simulates fighting with men in armor. A kata friend of mine told me that this was tried in armor once, and both players had to go to the hospital. Kotani Sensei was the last of the 10th Dans in Japan. He passed away in 1991. He was my sensei and a very close friend. This is a photo of him in 1932 before the Olympics. During the Olympics in 1932, he represented Japan as a wrestler and won the bronze medal. He became very influential with the American wrestling community, which indirectly helped promote judo into the AAU and eventually the Olympics. In this group, from left to right, we have Yamauchi, 9th Dan, Nagaoka, 10th Dan, Daigo, who eventually became a 9th, Kotani Sensei before he was a 10th, and Mel Bruno from the U.S. Air Force. The two of them put together a special team in 1963 to tour the United States, demonstrating martial arts. From left to right at the top is Kobayashi, Ishikawa, Kotani, Otaki, and Tomiki Sensei from Aikido. The karate senseis are Nishiyama, Obata, and Kamata Sensei. Kotani Sensei demonstrating his Osotogari. Steps in deep, pulls in the elbow and pushes against the neck for Kazushi. Swings his right leg through, pointing his foot. Then comes back into the opponent's leg, still pulling hard on the elbow and pressing against the neck. This is his Ogoshi. Drops low, swings his hip through under the opponent's arm and reaches behind his back. Then pulls him tightly against his back for the throw. Now here's some moving footage. Kotani Sensei is demonstrating his Ogoshi now. Steps in, drops low, pulls the opponent tightly against his back, rolls him over. This is his Osoto, steps in deep with his left, pulls in the elbow, presses against the neck, and sweeps. This is his side Tsurikomiyashi, the ankle propping throw. And this is just a Kazushi, stepping around and pulling the opponent up on his front foot. This is Harai Goshi, steps back, pulls in tight, and sweeps. This is a modified Keisagatami, and he's going to turn it into a Makura, a pillow Keisagatami. Comes over the arm, reaches through, catches the opponent's collar, sits through, catches his own thigh, and snugs up on the hold. This is the sliding collar choke, Okurieri. And this is sort of a half Nelson type. It's a half-sided choke. This film was shot in 1951. It's Kotani Sensei working out the Kodokan, Harai Goshi. He's going to do it again. Steps across, spins through, beautiful. Now he's going to do an Ippon Seoinage. Pulls, comes through, beautiful form. And now we're going to visit 17 great teachers. Oda, Kawakami, Takagaki, Ito, Sato, Kudo, Osagawa, another Kudo, Koyasu, Yamaguchi, Tagagi, Tomiki, Otaki, Asami, Yoda, Shiojima, and Tsukamoto. Most of these senseis later became ninth degrees. Here's a scene of Oda and myself relaxing after having dinner at his home. He treated me like a son, often suggesting that I do other things in Japan besides judo. In his day, he was considered the greatest newaza technician in Japan, if not the world. He often traveled to Europe showing his methods. Oda had developed a very comprehensive newaza system, which is the basis for teaching newaza today. He was an absolute genius at developing traps to go into arm bars and chokes. Oda described newaza as being more like a hibi or snake. You coiled around your opponent, controlling him, moving slowly from one position to another. He had a unique method of holding the gi, where he'd fold the material into the palm of his hand, thereby keeping a tight control and also being able to walk from one position to another with his hands. Here are some selected clips from a film shot in 1951 of Oda. Here's a turnover into a pin using his legs. You notice how he uses his legs in most of these techniques. Barotegare, two-handed sweep. Pulls the opponent up, drives him down, goes into a pin. Here's a leg pick. Pulling the opponent up, throwing him on his back, and going into a pin. The opponent tries to throw, he counters, throws him down, immediately into a pin. He drops down, hooks the opponent with his legs, turns him over, and goes into a pin. Here's Kata Hajime, a choke. Here's Ryote Jime, a two-handed choke from the front. Here's a cross choke from the side. Here's an armbar from Keisagatami, the side hold. Here's another armbar using his legs. Opponent tries to turn away, comes over the top, straight armbar. This is Jujigatami, the cross choke. Notice one leg is under the back. Here's Hadaka Jime from the front. Very effective. Here's Ski Jime, where it's sort of a thrust with the collar against the throat. Here's another cross choke. Starts from one side, brings his hand over the top, turns under the opponent. This is Kata Hajime, half-sided, from the bottom. Here, he brings his leg over the top, chokes the opponent. There he starts a choke, reaches underneath, rolls, ends up with a choke and a pin. Here he grabs the opponent's arm, pulls it back into a coil lock. Starts from the bottom, pushes the opponent away with his legs, then brings his knee up for Hizakatami, a knee lock. Here's another straight arm bar. Goes for another straight arm bar. To be with Kawakami Sensei was like being in a judo time machine back at the time of Jigoro Kano. Here we are working out at his dojo. He started his judo in the town of Mito in Ibaraki Prefecture. Here's a rare picture of him with a white belt. In Ibaraki, he did judo, sumo, and bojitsu. He was invited to Tokyo to the Horikoshi Dojo, which was the Yoshin Ryu Jiu-Jitsu school. And these are some of the teachers there. And while he was in Tokyo, he went to Meiji University, where he became captain of their judo and sumo team. Here's a picture of him in his sumo regalia after winning a championship. Look at the built on that guy. Here's another shot of him with the sumo team at Meiji. Here he is when he was about a 5th degree black belt. He became an instructor at the Tokyo Agricultural College and the Merchant Marine Academy. Here's a shot of him just posing in Jigotai and Tsurikomigoshi. This is a great photo of his little dojo with some of the kids working out. It was so small we used to bounce each other off the wall. Here's a group photo. This is really great. Now the little guy in the front, right in the center, actually survived the Hiroshima bomb. He was in a train and he was the only one that lived. There's Kawakami Sensei. I'm on one side. His son Ray is on the other. Jim Lang is alongside of the sensei. And here's another shot of the three of us. Ray, the sensei, and myself. And here's a photo of him when he was 73 years old, received his 9th dan and a special award from the Emperor of Japan. Now let's have fun on the mat with the sensei. Here he's demonstrating bojitsu. Footwork, handwork, keeps a stick in front of him. Now the two of us are going to do a bojitsu exercise routine. This was really a lot of fun. There he is demonstrating his Ippon Seoi Nage, one-arm shoulder throw. This is a Seoi Hanigoshi. Very unusual. He's the only person I've ever seen do that. This is Seoi Otoshi, dropping through, locking both arms. Now we do Sasai Tsurukomiyashi, the propping ankle throw. This is Deiashi Barai, the advanced foot sweep. This is Taiotoshi. See how he sets him up first and shoots his leg across. That was very good. This is Ashiguruma. He sets him up, shoots across the knee, and throws sideways. This is a spinning, another sort of an Ashiguruma thing, or Haragoshi. This is Hanigoshi with a Makikomi. Ouchigari on the leg to take the person down, goes into a hold, locks the arm as the opponent turns towards him. In the hold, the opponent turns away the other way, catches his arm, grabs his gi, puts his leg over the top, and diagonally does a Jujigatami. This really hurts the shoulder. The opponent turns towards him, and he chokes him by stepping over the top. This is another cross choke. Creates a trap. The opponent turns towards him, pushes the gi open, grabs the back, turns sideways, puts his leg up, and chokes the opponent. This is a sliding collar choke from the front. Here he locks the arm with his head, armbar from a standing position. Another armbar from the standing position. There's a choke at the bottom, push the head through. It's a kata hajime. There's a hadaka jime when someone attacks you from the front. There's a turnover, catches the arm, steps over the side, pulls the arm back for an arm bar, then figure fours his legs for choke for Sankaku Jime. Takagaki Sensei lived 79 years and was ninth dan when he passed away. Raised as part of a samurai family, he studied Shufu Ryu Jiu-Jitsu in Mito. Growing up, he studied judo at the Kodokan. He traveled around the world teaching judo. In Canada, he attended college for 3 years. Eventually, he taught judo in India and other Asian countries. He was titled the Father of Asian Judo. One day he asked me to co-author his book, which we titled The Techniques of Judo. He handed me a manuscript written over 20 years ago in India. It was brilliant. For each technique, he analyzed when and how to apply the technique and how to avoid and counter the technique. Without a doubt, Takagaki was the most articulate and analytical sensei I have known. He also had a great sense of humor. This is the front cover of our book, The Techniques of Judo. And this is the back cover. This is Takagaki Sensei in the 1930s in India. He also traveled to Nepal, Afghanistan, Burma, and China, teaching judo in all of those countries. Here he is shown with some of the gifts he received from the various countries. Rabindranath Tagore won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. He became enamored with judo and requested a teacher from Japan. Takagaki Sensei was sent to Tagore University to help teach. Tagore wrote a poem in a way dedicated to judo. He said, "Do not humiliate yourself because you don't know. Do not be surprised of danger. Leave your fear to conquer all risks. Awaken your power. Help the weak and defeat the strong. Do not humble yourself as a miserable one without spirit. Leave your fear and believe strongly in your power." This is Takagaki Sensei at Tagore University teaching judo. In the background is Tagore himself. This is Takagaki Sensei in Brazil with Yoshimatsu, the All Japan champion. He's demonstrating self-defense. Here's another scene, defense against a knife. This is the sensei in front of his home in Hakone. Beautiful place with a beautiful hot bath. And here we are visiting him. There's a Frenchman, Tarquini on the left, the sensei, Maurice Gurel, and myself. Here's some scenes from the Kodokan with Takagaki practicing. Here he's doing his Tomoe Nage. Here he's doing a hand action throw. This is Taiyo Toshi. And now let's have fun. Here he is on the mat doing Taiyo Toshi, demonstrating when the opponent steps forward, when the opponent steps back. A quick step around, twisting the opponent. A side throw of Taiyo Toshi. He was extremely versatile on this throw. A counter foot sweep. It's a Bami Gaishi against a back foot. Deashi Barai, the forward foot. It's a side Tsurikomiyashi, stepping around, catching the ankle. Nidan, Deashi, 1, 2. Kouchi. Kouchi is a person steps forward. There he goes again. Now here's Kouchi with a one-sided grip. Jerk the opponent forward, grab his leg, and split him. Here's Kouchi against a back leg, lifting the opponent up. Here's Ouchi Kouchi, fast combination. Ouchi Kouchi. Here he is doing a unique throw of his. This is called Harai Okuriashi. Ito Sensei was a great technician, but no fun to work with. No matter what he did, he ended up with an armbar and put the hurt on you. I didn't like hurting people, but he taught me well. To do an armbar, you have to be sincere and have good control. You don't have to injure someone, but it won't work unless you really try hard. This is him working with a French player. Now, this clip was taken in 1951 at the Kodokan. He works softly with his opponent, just floats around. I can see a setup for Tomoe-nage there. He pushes him back, drops in, and there's his famous Tomoe-nage. They get up together, contact, Ippon Tsuyoe-nage. Just throws right off the grip. Move around again. Opponent comes in, he just rides on him. Steps back, moves around, Hizaguruma, knee wheel. Drops down, sort of a Tsuyoe-nage, comes in on the opponent, starts grappling. He's got an arm there, he's going to work for it. Comes around, he's got the hold, steps over the top, snags the arm. Does it every time, the guy taps out. Sato Sensei was a little guy, under 5 feet tall. He'd waltz around and do jiu-jitsu type throws, dropping down on one knee. Here he is practicing at the Kodokan. One day, one of the boys he was working with reached over and grabbed his chin whisker and yanked on it. Sato immediately said, "Mate, stop." And he started counting the whiskers on his chin. And then quickly he looked down on the floor to find the missing one. What a sense of humor. He had us all in stitches. I really like this guy. Here he's giving a jiu-jitsu demonstration at the Tokyo Championships. Here we have Professor Kudo of the Tokyo Police Academy. He's working with Kyoshi Kobayashi. They move around. He does a spinning harai goshi. Catches Kobayashi as he steps forward with his left foot. And they move around again. He's going to do Osoto. He's going to wait till Kobayashi steps forward with his right, comes in, catches the foot, and hits him with Osoto. Now, do you notice his right hand is high on the shoulder? Steps around quick, does a Hizaguruma, a knee wheel. Still moving around. He tried an Osoto and missed. There he does, Osoto, and caught it. This time he just sort of snapped Kobayashi straight up on his toes. Kobayashi's trying to get him. He swings through again for a left harai goshi. Kobayashi tries a kouchigari. He hits him again with a knee wheel. When he does the knee wheel, he lifts up by the armpit, the right armpit, and pulls Kobayashi's left shoulder down to do that left Hizaguruma. Kobayashi tries a Hanegoshi, and he counters him with a Sasai Tsunekomiyashi. Here he's got that shoulder again. Looks like he's trying for Hizaguruma. Nope, drops down for Tomoe-nage. These are Professors Kudo and Hosogawa from the Kodokan performing Nage no Kata at the All Japan Championship. That was Sasai Tsunekomiyashi right side, and here's the same throw on the left. They do each throw on both sides. There are 15 throws in total. That was Uchimata on the right side, and now he does Uchimata on the left. He pushes Hosogawa back, and as he resists, he drops down for Tomoe-nage, the circle throw. There's Uranage, another sacrifice throw. And Uranage on the other side. Now that's Sumigaishi. And Sumigaishi again, dropping down. It looks like Tomoe-nage, but you kick from the inside. Sets him up. Yokogake. Kicks the leg right out from under him. Now he does it on the other side. Sets the opponent up. Kicks his leg out from under him. Now he does Yokoguruma. Swings in under the opponent who strikes at him. Jumps on the inside and throws him with a Yokoguruma. There's a side sacrifice throw. There it is again. Now they bow to the head table. This is Sensei Hosogawa, 7th Dan in Judo, doing Taiho Jitsu or police self-defense. Here he's standing with Otaki Sensei, another great teacher. Now we'll see a demonstration of Taiho Jitsu. First, it'll be against the sword with a baton. Blocks from the inside into the throat. Blocks from the outside, hits the wrist, takes the hand back, twists it around, and brings it up behind his back. Again against the sword. Blocks from the inside across the ribs. Now against the knife. Blocks the knife, twists the wrist, takes him around, dislodging the knife. Blocks from the inside, twists the knife back, takes the arm behind his back. Blocks from the inside, hits him in the face, twists the wrists, bringing it around again. Blocks from the front, hits with his fist, dislodges the knife, twists it behind the back. Blocks from the outside, twists back, brings it around, dislodges the knife, and now he takes him in a come-along hold. Brings it back, bends the wrist tight, moves the pistol to the side, then swings it away so the barrel doesn't hit him and into the opponent's face. Blocks, throws him with Osoto. Here's Koyasu Sensei from the Kodokan. Here he is, the uke, doing the Koshiki no Kata with Samura 10th dan. And now, in a 1951 clip, he'll demonstrate some of his favorite throws. There's a foot sweep, done beautifully. They move around. Does a left side Harai Goshi. Now it's his opponent's turn. Oop, left knee wheel. They get back together. No more good guy. Gosu drops down, is Shio Toshi. Coming again. Gosu blocks him. And now he's going to do another foot sweep. There we go. That was a counter throw. And he drops down again with the Shio Toshi. Here we have Professors Yamaguchi and Koyasu performing Kochiki no Kata in front of President Rise Kano at the Kodokan during the Kagami Biraki ceremony. Yamaguchi is the Tori and Koyasu is the Uke. Remember, this simulates self-defense with men in armor. Koyasu grabs him, starts to pull him back. Yamaguchi takes him back, drops him. Now there's a defense against a thrust and a backward throw. Tori pushes the uke's hand into his face. As the uke resists, Tori goes back, drops down, and throws the uke. Another thrust. Catching the opponent, pushing him backwards. This is the audience at the Kodokan watching doing the Kagami Biraki ceremony. Tomiki Sensei was a very unusual person. He was both a judo and aikido instructor. During World War II, as a prisoner of war, he developed a new method of aikido, a simple one that could be easily adapted by judoka. One day he came into our Kenshusei class. This is a class for advanced young competitors. And he was going to talk to us about aikido. We sort of rolled our eyes on this. Then he asked one of us to come up and move him, grab his wrist and pull him around. As the young student, who was very strong, tried to move Tomiki, Tomiki just twisted his wrist and the young fellow went flying through the air. We looked at this and one by one we came up to him. We had to try this. I did it and it really hurt. Then I noticed on his wrist, the bones of his wrist looked like golf balls. Then he said, "I'll make it easy for you." And he sat back on his feet. He said, "Come on, grab my hand and move me." And again, he just flung us right through the air. So we looked at him and we kind of smiled and said, "All right, Sensei, teach us your Aikido." Any event, his Aikido finally became what is called the Kodokan Modern System of Self-Defense, or Goshin Jitsu. The series of photographs you have just been watching are from a demonstration of Goshin Jitsu at the All Japan Championship. Tamiki Sensei was also active in teaching Air Force, military police, Aikido, and other forms of self-defense. Here he is at the Kodokan with a group of people from Strategic Air Command. Otaki Sensei was truly a sensei. He probably wrote more books than any other judo instructor in the world, in Japanese and in English. He was brilliant. He could explain any technique very simply. I think I remember almost every lesson he gave me. He was my very first judo teacher. That's the first night I was in judo. He's the first person to throw me. How can I forget him? When he came to the States, I asked him how I could retain my students. He said, well, if American children like baseball, then perhaps when they come to the dojo, they should do baseball 80% of the time and judo 20%. I really love that guy. Here he's with a group of Air Force officials during the tour of the United States in 1953. That's Mel Bruno next to him. Here, Otaki Sensei is practicing with a novice foreigner. This is pretty much what I felt like on my first day in judo. He works gently with them, takes some falls, rides on top of his arms to feel them, does a knee wheel. They get up, move around in circles. If you're not used to doing this, it's exhausting in your first day. Around in a circle, another knee wheel. And there's Otaki Sensei at the All Japan Championship, demonstrating Kimi no Kata, an old form of self-defense. Asami Sensei was my teacher and friend. He was one of the head instructors at the Keisho Taekwondo, which is the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Academy. He also was at the Kodokan, and I was a member of his dojo. Here he's demonstrating Kimi no Kata at the All Japan Championship. Sitting around the table in the foreground is Watanabe, myself, Asami, and Kobayashi. Under this table is a kotatsu. It's a hole in the ground with charcoals on a grate. Later you'll see when he's practicing judo, Asami has a bandage on his toe. I said, Sensei, is that from judo? He says, no, from the kotatsu. Here he's doing his koichi makikomi. Pulls the opponent into him tight, hooks from behind the heel, and drives into the ground. This is a great competitive technique. Right off the grip, snap your opponent to you and hook. Now he's going to demonstrate the timing just as the opponent steps forward. This is one of his most famous techniques, the Hizaguruma. He does it on the back leg. You notice he grips high to control the opponent. Steps around, catches the knee on the back leg. Now this is his timing. The opponent steps forward with his right and he catches the left just as it comes forward. Asami is a left-sided player. So the timing again. Opponent steps with his right and catch him on the left. This is his spinning Harai Goshi. He sets the opponent up on his toes and then spins through. So the Kazushi is to pull the opponent perpendicular to both feet. There he goes. That's called the Judo Triangle. Harai Goshi. Now this is Uchimata, another one of his favorites. He catches the opponent as he walks around him. This is a classical way. But if you'll notice, he tries to hit the inside leg like a Hani Uchimata. This way the opponent cannot avoid him. There he's catching the back leg. And when he's kneeling. Takagi Sensei was a daily fixture on the Kodokan floor. He was always out there practicing and teaching. And earlier you saw him beating the drum for the closing ceremony. He also performed a lot of demonstrations. This is Goshin Jitsu at the All Japan Championship. And here he's doing Nagi no Kata during Martial Arts Day exhibit in the Tokyo. Now next you'll see a 1951 clip of him doing free practice on the Kodokan floor with a strong young competitor. He just rides around Every time the competitor comes in for a throw, he just pops away, blocks, and there's a spinning Harai Goshi. They're working some more. The competitor's still trying to do something, and now he's going to do a Sutemi Waza. There he goes. Shinojima was barely 5 foot tall, and he loved to work out with the big foreigners. Here he is doing a shoulder throw. This was one of his favorite techniques. He often tried to show me this technique, but I just couldn't get underneath him. This is rare 1951 footage of Shinojima Sensei demonstrating Yamarash, the throw made famous by Sagata Sanshiro. As the opponent steps forward, he cross grips, pumps down first, then quickly snaps up, brings his elbow underneath, and throws. Here it is again. Pulls down, up, and throws. Let's see it in slow motion. Steps, pulls down, snaps up, brings the elbow underneath, bends his knee deep, twists, and pulls. And one more time. Let's watch it in regular speed. Kiyoshi Kobayashi was my principal instructor and closest friend in Japan. In fact, we were really like brothers. Today he is a 9th degree, the head of the Portuguese Judo Federation, and one of the principal judo advisors in the European Union. Together we co-authored the book, The Sport of Judo. That was over 50 years ago. It's still one of the best sellers in judo. This is the front cover. And here's the back cover. It's Daigo doing his Uchimata. Now we'll watch Kobayashi demonstrate some basic throws. Taiotoshi. Watch the Kazushi, how he breaks the opponent's balance before he crosses his leg. Turns in, steps, one smooth action. Up, across. This is Harai Goshi. Watch that Kazushi. Brings the opponent forward against his hip, sweeps back. Okuriashi. One step. There we go. There's Okuriashi again. Just as the opponent steps, you lift up and sweep. Now he's just demonstrating Keisagatami, probably the first hold that judo students learn. Here is Kami Shiho Gatami, the upper four corner hold. This is a modified Yoko Shiho Gatami. Very strong. Holding the pants with his hand and the belt with the other hand. This is Tate Shiho Gatami. The way his arm is underneath, it really hurts the shoulder. It's very clever. Yoda Sensei will demonstrate control and timing for throws. This footage was shot in 1951. You notice he grips high, sort of like a pocket grip. This was prevalent with the competitors in Japan. The first technique will be Osotogari. Pulls him, pushes him, and then brings him around in a circle and throws. Here's some slow motion. Pulls him, pushes him, and you notice his left arm's over the opponent's right arm so he can snag his elbow. Brings him around in a circle with his right, with his left. He pulls in the elbow and sweeps. Pulls him, pushes him, then does Harai Tsurikomiyashi as the opponent steps back. Slow motion, pulls him to him. Now the opponent steps back. He steps in deep, sweeps his foot for Harai Tsurikomiyashi. Now he pulls him and then does Dayashi as the opponent steps forward. Jerks the opponent around to his right. As the opponent steps, he catches that right leg and sweeps it. He pulls him around, pushes him, and Okuriashi, the follow foot sweep. In slow motion, pulls him, And as the opponent starts to step away, he chases him with his left foot sweeping sideways. Tsukamoto Sensei was my friend Cook Hadley's first instructor in the southern island of Japan called Kyushu. He was really a fine technician. These films were taken in 1955. Here he's teaching how to tie an obi. Now we'll demonstrate Osotogari. He has a unique style. He steps in, bends his knee deep, drives his chest against the opponent, breaks him backwards, then comes through and sweeps. Now he demonstrates his two-arm shoulder throw, Morote Seoinage, dropping very low. This is his favorite throw, Taiotoshi, the body drop. There's a step through, Taiotoshi. Taiotoshi with a shoulder throw. Stepping around deep and twisting the opponent. Side throw of Taiotoshi. Now he brings his opponent around and throws him with a sweeping hip, Haraigoshi. Okuriashi, the follow foot sweep. Ouchigari, major inner reap. Now self-defense. Locks the opponent's arms when he tries to choke him. Grabs the arm, twists one way, comes over the top, Makikomi. Grabs the arm, twists it, goes into a straight arm bar and wrist lock. Drops down, throws the opponent over his shoulder. Catches the arm, and again a Makikomi. And an arm bar. Over the top, like a Seoinage, and into Juji Gatami, cross arm bar. Blocks the knife, arm coil, takes him down. Kanibasami. After World War II, the first All-Japan Championship was in 1948. Mr. Matsumoto won. 49 was dual champions with Kimura and Ishikawa. Then Ishikawa 50, Daigo 51, Yoshimatsu won 52, 53, Daigo in 54, Yoshimatsu in 55, and in 56, Natsui not only won the All-Japan Championship, but the first World Judo Championship. This is the mat area. It was 30 by 30 and a raised mat. This was typical in all the major championships. This is just a great shot of a Hanigoshi. Kimura Sensei was considered the toughest judo man in the world. He had legendary strengths and techniques. It is said he trained 9 hours a day when preparing for a championship. He was the All-Japan champion in 37, 38, and 39. After the war in 1949, he fought with Ishikawa, and it was considered a draw. They were both awarded the championship. After this, he went into pro wrestling and eventually as being an ultimate fighter. In Brazil, he defeated Gracie, their national jiu-jitsu champion, by separating his arm. Ishikawa Sensei went on to become the 1950 All-Japan champion. He was the youngest person to be promoted to full professor at the Keisho, the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Dojo. Later, he traveled to Cuba. This is a farewell party with his wife and family and myself on the side. From Cuba, he went to the United States, and now as an older person, he's back in Japan. Here's a shot of the sensei, myself in the middle, and Maurice Gourel from France, who went on to become the French national coach. One day, Ishikawa Sensei asked me to help him write his book. This is a photo of me posing on him for the book. This is Kami Shiho Gatami. But the important thing was that after we worked a few hours each night on the book, he would tell me about his life from his childhood and how he became a champion, the importance of the mind. He really got to me. The determination to win, how to control your opponent, such as keeping your mind in your elbows, pushing and pulling from the elbows, or creating a vector from your elbows to the opponent's center of gravity. I once asked him, "Sensei, do you practice handstands to avoid being thrown?" He said, "You know, I used to do that. And then one day I thought, why am I doing this? I'm learning how to lose. I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win. Of course, if somebody throws me, I have a chance to escape." What he said to me essentially doubled my power. It made me believe in myself and to become a better judoka. The following are selected clips from a 1954 film on Ishikawa's techniques. Here he's doing Ippon Seoinage. Watch how his hips drive backwards. In, hooks, and he goes backwards. Taiotoshi. Drops real low, pulls hard. His right hand pushes from the heel of the hand towards the jaw. Tsurikomigoshi. His right elbow goes under the armpit. Then he pulls the arm tight across his body. There's a back shot of it. Now Ouchigari. Comes in, hooks the leg. The heel of his right hand drives the shoulder back. Stepping in, hooking deep. This is a counter to Ouchi. Stemiwaza. This is called Tsubami Gaishi, the swallow. It's a counter to a Dayashi or foot sweep. And here's a little drill that Ishikawa does by himself. He actually turns his heel out and makes a circular action with his foot. He does it again, and here is Ushiro Goshi. And now we go to the mat. Ishikawa's working on his back, blocks the opponent with his leg, pushes the opponent's wrist into his stomach. His other leg lifts him up, turns him over, hooks his arm. He's trying to drive him back. The opponent keeps turning towards him. Keeps hooking the arm. He's not having much luck there. So he's going to change directions. Grabs the wrist, figure fours the arm, figure fours his neck, brings him over. He's into an arm lock and a choke. Daigo Sensei was the All Japan champion for 1951 and 1954. He is now the head technical director of the Kodokan, and he's also ninth degree now. Here's a film of him in the 1951 All Japan Championship with Yoshimatsu. And there's the throw. It looks like a foot sweep. Mifune Sensei is the referee. Looks, puts his hand up, Ippon. Let's watch this in slow motion. Actually, Yoshimatsu tries to do an Uchimata. As he brings his leg across, Daigo caught it and swept it out from underneath him. Here's some nice still photos. This is Daigo doing an Uchimata to Ikeda. It's on the back of my book, The Sport of Judo. Here's Daigo trying an Osotogari. Look how that leg is curved. And here he is pinning somebody. Now this is a match between Daigo and Ikeda from the police academy. See how Daigo's gripping? Pocket grips are right near the armpits. This is one of the strongest ways to grip an opponent. Anton Giesing said this in his book in 1966. They move around and all of a sudden there's an Uchimata. Let's watch that again in slow motion. Move around. Ikeda just sort of stops, plants his feet. Daigo comes in, takes him off the ground. Now Daigo will demonstrate some of his favorite throws. This is Osotogari. Again, he's got a pocket grip. Crimps the opponent's right elbow and pulls up with his right hand. This is his Uchimata. Ouchi to Taiotoshi. Uchimata. Just steps in and pops him. Huge thighs. This is Utsurigoshi, the switching hip throw. It's a great counter. The opponent comes in for a throw, grabs him, boots him up, turns his hip under him. This is a tournament-style Kouchigari. He actually splits the leg out sideways. Split, takes him down. That's a spinning Haraigoshi. Yoshimatsu Sensei was the All Japan champion in 52, 53, and 55. He was really a big guy. Here he is sitting next to Daigo Sensei. We have a few photos here of him in the first World Judo Championship. He's finishing off a throw, finishing another throw, and here he is pinning. Now we're going to watch Yoshimatsu Sensei in one of his matches. Again, pocket grips. There's his Uchimata. And what a gentleman. He just picks the guy up. Now let's see that throw in slow motion. Natsui was the new champion on the block in 1956. Here's the cover shot of the first World Judo Championship, him and Yoshimatsu. He ended up defeating Yoshimatsu by a decision. Here's the two of them standing together. Yoshimatsu on the left, Natsui on the right. This is one of the matches in the 56 All Japan Championship. The winner of this went into the World Championship. He's got a pretty tough opponent here. Notice he's walking around. Again, there's those pocket grips. Then all of a sudden he's going to explode into an Osotogari. Off the edge of the mat. Natsui's trying to set him up, pulling him around. There's the Osoto. Let's do this in slow motion. He hooks. You can see the foot back there. See him? Driving, takes him down. Now this is Natsui fighting Daigo. Again, both of these guys with these pocket grips, moving around slowly. What happens in this match is that Natsui goes in quick, sort of faking an Osotogari. And as Daigo puts his right leg back, Natsui corkscrews in with a Taiotoshi and throws him. You won't see that throw in this film, but you will see in some still shots that follow this. We missed the throw. That's when Natsui gets the award. The match is over. And here's the shot. There's that Taiotoshi. He corkscrews in. He just caught Daigo beautifully. And there's the finish. Here's a 1951 film of Natsui in a Kodokan demonstrating his Uchimata. Moves the opponent around in a circle and does a little hop and skip. And gets the opponent to move off to his right, hops, and skips in. Matsumoto Sensei was the 1948 All Japan champion. He's presently the professor of judo at Tenri University in Kyoto. Here he is doing Sankaku Jime, a choke on Ishibashi in the 1956 All Japan Championship. In the same tournament, he's trying to throw Yoshimatsu, but misses with an Uchimata. Here he's trying to do an Osotogari against Matsushita, with his right hand against the head, what's called the Tenri Crunch. Now he's fighting little Ishibashi. Ishibashi tries to go down on the ground with him. Big mistake. They break. Ishibashi's going after him again. Watch Matsumoto turn from underneath. Gets his legs in there. Keeps pulling Ishibashi into him. Now he's got a Sankaku. Figure fours his legs. Gets it in good. Turns over and strangles him with his legs. In another match, he's pinning his opponent with Kuzure Kami Shiogatami, a very strong hold. And now he's going to fight Yoshimatsu. Both of these men have been All Japan champions and have been opponents for many years. Watch how they grip with these pocket grips. Matsumoto missed that Uchimata. Actually, this fight was a draw, and Yoshimatsu won by a decision. And now we'll see favorite techniques of other competitors. There's Matsushita, Asami, Hattori, Osawa, Shibayama, Miura, Ikeda, and Ishibashi. Most of these competitors at one time or another qualified for the All Japan Championship. Matsushita Sensei was the Tokyo champion and the University champion. His favorite technique is Harai Goshi. Here he is in the East and West tournament, throwing with Hodai-goshi. Now he's in the Tokyo Championship. Little grip fighting. Notice they go for pocket grips. Now he's going to do Osoto. There he goes. Caught him. Watch the referees in the Hakama. And now he's demonstrating his Hodai-goshi. Pocket grip, watch that. 50% pull, 50% the chest comes in there. That's the leg action. 50-50. Right, 50-50. There he goes. 50-50. Then he sweeps in. Pulls it, and his leg corkscrews backwards. Throws the opponent as he moves forward. Now he catches his opponent as he moves back, just as the opponent stops. Now he's going to move the opponent around in a circle and throws. Gets a good grip just from a standing. Grips, steps back and in. Grips again at 50-50 action. Is really critical on Hodai-goshi. Now he's going to demonstrate one of his favorite ways of doing it. His left foot will step in the same direction as the opponent's right. And he comes through the opening and throws, almost sideways. And here's Matsushita with his partner, Gilbert Seiki from Hawaii. Asahi was one of the smallest players to qualify for the All Japan Championships. Here he is with the largest player, Yoshimatsu. Another great shot. Now we'll see Asahi's techniques. His favorite throws were Tsurikomi-goshi. Looks a little like a Morote Sioi the way he does it. Comes in, hits hard with his hips, and walks backwards as he throws. Comes in, turns, and goes backwards a little. Steps in, rotates, keeps going backwards. It's like being hit with a bowling ball. Gets a pocket grip, brings his hand inside, and throws. 50-50 action here too. Pulls and brings his chest in. Now he's doing ouchigari. Hops in, hooks, hops, hops, hops. Ouchi. In and out. Jumps in, hooks and crimps the opponent's leg. And then hops on the supporting leg. Now he's going to demonstrate his techniques moving around. It's good grip, moves the opponent around, comes in for Tsurikomi-goshi. Moves around now, pulls the opponent around him, ouchigari. Hattori Sensei is a great judoka from Keio University. Has an unusual build for a judo man. Short, squatty, but he moves with grace and great technique. His primary throws are Ippon Sioi Nage, Kouchigari, and Tsurikomi-goshi. Here he's just demonstrating Randori with some children at the Kodokan. There's his Ippon Sioi Nage with Yves Klein from France. Notice the high shoulder grip. Comes in, rolls, steps back. Hard snap. Look at those hips. Like a bowling ball. Kouchigari. He steps way back and catches the outside of the foot. You can't reach the outside unless you step all the way back. Watch that. Way back, and the outside, scoops it out. Here's the Tsurikomi-goshi. Again, just like a big bowling ball. Wham! And snaps his feet up, throwing the opponent over his back. There he goes. Watch. Snap up. That helps to throw the opponent over the back. Then here's an unusual one. Tsurikomi off the backside. He does it again. Osawa Sensei was the most incredible judoka I ever practiced with. You come out on the mat, bow to him, grab gi, you were airborne. You couldn't feel it. In this film, you'll see some of his techniques. They don't look very complicated, but oh boy, get on the other end of the gi. Anton Giesing, the giant from Holland, was talking to a Japanese champion while they were watching Osawa. He said, "Here I weigh 260 pounds. I practice with him. He only weighs about 140, and he throws me almost 5 times in a row." The Japanese champion smiled and pointed to his own nose and said, "Me too." Osawa Sensei always had a smile on his face. There's his partner, Sakamoto. This is Sodetsuri Komigoshi. Very popular throw. Just push up at the sleeve and step across. It's the timing that counts. There's Okuriashi, the follow foot sweep. One step and he's got you. Now here's the way he applies it. He walks around with you. Doesn't let you know when it's going to happen. Bang. This is Koichi Makikomi. It's a Koichi, come through, hook, and do a forward dive. Pull in real tight. It's a real competitive move. And once you hit the opponent, he has nothing to do but go backwards. This is Taiotoshi, when the opponent steps forward. Steps back, shoots across. This is Uchimata Skashi, which means a counter throw to Uchimata. The opponent tries to sweep his thigh between your legs. You pull your leg out of the way and do a Taiotoshi. This is a spinning Haraigoshi. Here he is out on the floor at Kodokan just working out. This is the way you'll see him every day. And it's really fun to be on the other end of the gi with him. Sodetsuri Komigoshi. Shibayama Sensei was from the Keisho, the Tokyo Police Dojo. Here he is with his son, who we'll see practicing later. A couple of real good looking guys and very happy. Here's the scene of him in a tournament pinning his opponent with Yoko Shiho. Now for a little Newaza Randori. He enters with a Tomoe Nage, goes into Yoko Shiho, then slides over the top and just gently rides his opponent, keeping his palms flat on the ground and his knees bent well. Now he puts a knee in the side for control, hooks the arm as the opponent comes towards him. He snaps the arm out there real hard and into an arm bar. Now the opponent's going to try to escape from Keisagatami. He indicates he wants him to try to pull him over. So the opponent pulls him over, he steps over the top, locks the arm. Now as the opponent tries to push him back, he catches the arm and goes into an arm coil armbar. Now this is an Ushiro Keisagatami. This is an unusual way of doing it. He actually locks that arm in there, and in order to bind it, he puts his own hand under his thigh. You see that? Miura was a no-nonsense player from the Keisho, very serious guy. In one Tokyo championship, he won 2 matches by rock, paper, scissors. That's the kids' game. You know, they call it Junkenpaw in Japan. So the next Saturday, when I went to the Keisho to practice, I asked him to show me his favorite technique. Everyone stopped, looked. He was very proud. He says, "Which technique would you like to see?" And I put my hand out and I went rock, paper, scissors. His eyes bulged. He started chasing me around the mat. Everyone laughed. He stopped and said, "Sharps on, bad the boy." There's a great throw, but it didn't count. He did it while helping the opponent back on the mat. The referee's yelling, "No, no, no." Anyways, it's a great shot, and as such, it made the cover of my book, The Techniques of Judo. Miura pulls the opponent down, bringing his arm into his chest, getting ready for an Osoto Otoshi. In the next shot, he hooks the leg, drives into the chest, and throws his opponent. And now for the mat. He hooks the opponent's arm and catches his own collar, then rolls him over into Ushiro Keisagatami, coming across the top, locking the arm in, catching his own leg. This was a very popular hold. And here's a rare shot, a leg pick. In those days, they were really rare. Today, it's quite common. And there he is going into an armbar, standing armbar, another rare shot. Now we're at the All Japan Championship, and Miura is going up against the larger person, Hashimoto. Referees take their positions. He's trying to move Hashimoto around so he can get to throw him. Hashimoto is considerably bigger than him. Here they are with pocket grips, waiting to find their sweet spot. He tries an ouchigari. Nothing happens. Moving around, trying to find the sweet spot. Tries an uchimata. Doesn't work. I don't remember how that tournament came out. Here he is at the Keisho, working out free practice. Kouchigari. It was a great place to practice at. The lowest ranking guy here was a Sandan, third degree black belt. He's trying to set up his opponent. Does a lot of leg work. Ouchigari. And then down in the mat work. Ikeda Sensei was another great player from the Keisho. Here he's shown with the cup after winning the Tokyo Championship. Here he is standing with Sone, another fantastic player. He's playing now with Watanabe from Meiji University. Look at the difference in size. And here he is doing Stemiwaza at the Tokyo Championship. Let's watch this live now. Here he is in the tournament. Boom. Over. Now let's watch it in slow motion. They're moving around. He's going to do the bouncing cork routine. He's going to pull up and then pull down and drop. And now the best for last. Ishibashi, then captain of the famous Meiji University team. He became the university champion and Tokyo champion, the most incredible competitor of his time. He threw all of his opponents within seconds. Our group of foreign judoka would make bets as to how many seconds it would take for him to throw his opponent. At that time, Meiji had the toughest judo team in Japan, with their players being 4th and 5th dan. When they visited Ishibashi's home in Fukuoka, he was with the police judo team. He threw all of the Meiji competitors within seconds. They were astounded. Even though he was older than most college students, they had him join Meiji University and, of course, their team. That's the Meiji University team. Ishibashi is the second from the right. This is before he became captain. Here he is in the lineup for the Tokyo Championships. He's in the back row, the second from the left. This is the famous shot of Ishibashi doing his uchimata. This picture has been used in artwork all over the world. And of course, he's on the cover of my book, The Sport of Judo. Here he is throwing Ikeda with Surikomigoshi. This was kind of interesting. Ishibashi, about over 40 years later, when I met him in Japan, told me, I never did Surikomigoshi until I looked in the book and saw myself doing it. That was pretty funny. Look at the power, Osodogari. Here's another throw in the Tokyo Championship, Taniguchi with Uchimata. Ishibashi doing a Uchimata. Look at, he's got a pocket grip on the shoulder, and look at his power. Here's some scenes at the Kodokan where he's working out. That's sort of a little friendly tournament at the Kodokan. And another practice session. This film is dedicated to Jigoro Kano. He founded judo over 120 years ago. He was the sensei of my senseis, and they told me what a wonderful guy he was. Here he is sitting with his wife and family. And now we go to Berlin, the 1936 Olympics, with the sensei standing next to Jesse Owens, the American legend. This is a statue of Sensei Kano at the new Kodokan today. Suidobashi was the train station closest to the Kodokan. The Kodokan was in the Bunkyoku area. This is a picture of the Kodokan building. The main hall was quite large, suspended on coil springs. Players came from around the world and all over Japan. The president, Rise Kano, was the son of Jigoro Kano. Secretary was Tashiro.